Whether you recognize it or not, as a leader or an entrepreneur, there is a dashboard in front of you as you run your business. And there are 4 gauges on the dashboard that are constantly giving you feedback and telling you if there's a problem. And if you're unaware of these 4 gauges and you're not paying attention to them, you may find yourself breaking down. About 6 months ago, my son turned 16 and my wife and I helped him purchase his first vehicle. And like most first vehicles, the goal of the vehicle is simply to help him get from point A to point B for it to be dependable. And as most of us can remember when we had our first vehicles, there's always a handful of weird things that are wrong with that car. For him, his dashboard, every single warning light that could be on is constantly flashing and is on, telling him that there's a problem. Now, he's actually learned over time to ignore this because the mechanics have assured us that there actually isn't a problem. The problem is just like a wiring issue. So he continues to drive, but you can imagine if there actually was a problem and he ignored those gauges telling him that there's an issue, over time, where it would lead his vehicle. It'd be completely broken down and he would not be able to get from point A to point B. As a leader, as an entrepreneur, there are these 4 gauges that you have, and if you're not paying attention to them, if you ignore them, it will slow you down. So what are the 4 gauges? The first gauge is your mental health. The second gauge you want to be paying attention to is your emotional health. The third gauge you need to be paying attention to is your spiritual health. And then the final gauge is your physical health. Mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. The problem is, as high achievers, we're constantly moving at warp speed and we don't slow down enough to even glance at the gauges and see if there's a light that's flashing at us telling us, warning, there's a problem. And what I want to challenge you with is to literally just take a beat, take a minute and close your eyes and ask yourself the question, if one of these 4 gauges, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, my physical health, if one of those 4 gauges was flashing at me right now, trying to send me a message that you're exhausted, you're depleted, there's an issue here, which one of those 4 might be trying to tell you a message right now, saying that there's a warning light on, you might want to pay attention to me? Because the truth of the matter is, and I've experienced this many times, often we are exhausted physically, but we don't take the time to pay attention to it. We just keep getting more stuff done. We push it down until eventually it comes back to bite us. Mentally, we might be completely stressed out, but we don't take a moment to refresh ourselves because we feel overwhelmed with how much we need to get done. Physically, we might have some needs to go out and exercise and to get ourselves healthy again, but we ignore it because we tell ourselves we don't have time. Spiritually, we might feel depleted, but we keep continuing on the same the same trajectory that we're on, telling ourselves that we'll have time for that next month, next week. Pay attention to what one of these 4 gauges are telling you and take action based upon which warning light might be on for you at this moment in time.